Nothing in life worth having comes easy. Good things take time. If you've been rushing the process, moving quickly, trying to find the shortcut to the end result, today I want to talk to you about these two quotes because the truth is, with technology today, with all of these expectations for quick fixes, instant results, overnight successes, I feel like so many of us have lost the art of taking the long way, leaning into things that feel hard, taking pursuits that might feel long and challenging. Because the truth is, those are the pursuits truly worth pursuing. And everyone who's been really successful in life, everyone who has accomplished things that are actually of value and worth having, it truly wasn't overnight as much as it might seem. And so I want to talk about that today. I want to help open your eyes to realize that there's nothing to rush. There's no need to rush because the truth is it needs to take a long time. If it's something worthwhile and of value, we need to trust that timeline and we need to lean in when it might feel difficult and not easy and be taking longer than we thought. And I'm going to share with you why. And also how this can apply to almost every single area of your life. And also personally, how I've seen it apply to my life. So by the end of the episode, you're going to realize there's nothing to rush. You don't need that overnight success, an overnight accomplishment, or quick fix. And it's actually better when you take the long way. So I'm excited to dive in. But before we do, if you're new here, my name is Camille and I'm the host of Fulfilled, the podcast you are listening to or watching right now. If you are new here, don't forget to press follow or subscribe wherever you are listening to the show. This will give you access to both episodes every single week when they come out on your journey to living this life fully. And if you're returning, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, leave a rating and review on the show wherever you are listening on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. This would mean the world to me and I appreciate the love. All right, let's dive in. Let's talk about why nothing worth having comes easy and why good things truly take time. So first, let's talk about some examples, things that came to mind as I was brainstorming and preparing for this episode so that you can get perspective as to how this might apply to your life, how it's applied to my life in some ways, and then I'll sprinkle in these examples throughout the reasons and why behind these two quotes. So first one that almost all of us can relate to is a new relationship unfolding, right? A romantic relationship. We don't just get to know someone overnight. We don't know someone with the depth and level of connection that's going to make for a meaningful relationship just from going on a couple dates. It takes years. And the best relationships, right, the ones that are 60 years into marriage, let's say, has taken a lifetime because you learn more about that person every single day. Connection and relationships, especially meaningful ones and lifelong ones, are, I would argue, one of the most important things in life. And because of its importance and because of its value, it's not something that should be rushed. We nurture and develop our relationships over time. It's why we think it's crazy when you hear of a story where like people have known each other for a month and then get engaged, right? Because it's a huge decision and you barely know that person after a month. It takes time to get to know someone. So that's one thing that came to mind. Second thing, pursuing a business, a passion project, a goal you've been working towards. When we're starting a new endeavor, we have no idea what we're doing. There are so many kinks to work through in taking steps towards something, right? We need to go through endless trial and error to figure out what works and what doesn't. We need to understand what it is that we're doing. It's probably going to pivot and evolve along the way as we create it, as we work on it. I've found that with Fulfilled over the past couple of years. It has definitely evolved. Like I've talked about in episodes, it used to be called Unfulfilled. So that's just an example of how much it's changed and evolved. And in the beginning, I definitely wanted it to like take off overnight and grow really quickly. But when I get into the reasons as to why it's important to trust that good things take time and nothing worth having comes easy, I'm going to share with you why I recognize that it actually was for the best that it didn't. It's the case with personal growth too, right? In becoming a better version of ourselves. We don't just listen to a book and listen to a podcast episode and then suddenly we're transformed and evolved. It takes time. We need to practice evolving and implementing those things that we're learning. It takes time to truly change and transform. Like I kind of hate now that social media is full of these like quick fixes and overnight successes and like lose X amount of pounds in 2 weeks with this shortcut and this hack and gain 10K followers in 3 months by just doing XYZ. This is almost like artificial growth. It's not that meaningful and genuine, worthwhile change and transformation. The best change and transformation truly takes time. And it means we have to trust that process and journey. And then finally, honestly, one example that came to mind, and this probably seems kind of dumb, but this is just an example of how it can truly apply to every area of our life. I switched my oatmeal to steel cut oats recently from the old fashioned rolled oats to steel cut oats because I don't know, I heard it was a little bit healthier. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. And if you know me, you know I love oatmeal and I eat it every single day. But I noticed it took twice as long to cook. And that's why I was so hesitant to switch for so long. But I've noticed this pattern in everything that I've cooked and how my cooking and food journey has evolved. Like everything that's instant or fast food or takes like a super short amount of time to cook, maybe is like pre-prepared and you just need to like heat it up in the microwave or cook it for like 2 minutes. Those more often than not are the less healthy options. They often actually are less nutritious. And the foods that take longer to cook have more nutritional value. Like the steel cut oats, they take twice as long to cook, but it's because they're less processed and you get more nutritional value from them. But it takes putting in more time and energy to cook them for longer. So you have to input more time into the process, but you get more out of it. And I kind of loved that example. And honestly, it was a big inspiration that turned into this whole episode because it got me to thinking like all of the different ways that this is true in our life. So maybe there's other examples that are coming to mind for you. And that's fantastic because now that I've talked about some of the ways that this has been applicable in my life, maybe some of the common ways that I think you might be able to resonate with, here are all the reasons and ways that are going to solidify this belief and truth that nothing worth having comes easy and that good things truly take time. So first one is we feel so much more proud and accomplished when we take a long time to do something, or when something takes a lot of time and a lot of energy and effort. When we get to that finish line and when we actually accomplish it, it feels so much more rewarding. So think of that example, that endeavor that maybe came to mind just a few minutes ago. If you accomplished it overnight, if it only required 1 day's work, or maybe you reached that big goal in a week, would it have felt nearly as rewarding when you finally got to that end point? It's like I think of running a marathon. You train for so long to run a marathon. And side note, I've never run a marathon, but I know plenty of people in my life who have, and one day I will. But the reason a marathon feels so rewarding is when you cross that finish line, it's not just about those 3+ hours that you were running for. It's about the months of training that you put into it. That's what feels so rewarding. All those days you showed up for the long run when you didn't feel like it. All of the ways you got stronger and proved to yourself that you could throughout the training process. The race was just that end product. But because it took months of training leading up to it, crossing that finish line felt that much more rewarding. Or let's think of the cooking healthy food example. Like if you ordered Uber Eats and you were eating your meal versus if you spent an hour cooking this healthy, delicious home-cooked meal, which one genuinely would feel more rewarding to eat, would almost taste more delicious because you know you put your blood, sweat, and tears into preparing that perfect meal, that healthy, nutritious meal that you went to the store for, you followed the recipe for, you really put the time and energy and effort into, and you knew what you're eating was super healthy, nutritious because of it. Yeah, that is going to feel a lot more rewarding than just spending the $30 to Uber Eats something that probably isn't as nutritious because they use seed oils or whatever, right? Yes, it took more time and energy and effort, but the product was more worthwhile, and you got that much more pride and joy from that end result. Okay, another reason is that these idea of overnight successes aren't actually real. But let me explain. So it might seem on the surface that people are an overnight success, that they accomplished it just like that, and that a lot of people just have these breakthrough aha moments and then everything changes. But I was reading this article and they shared this example about Einstein and when he was creating his law of special relativity. I'm not even honestly sure what that is. One of his famous laws that apparently we still use today. But it was talking about how this wasn't just like a sudden insight, even though it might have seemed like that moment where he had the aha moment led to the breakthrough. This final law was a product of a lot of steps and realizations that he went through along the way. It was a whole long journey and process that led up to that moment. But everyone's just focusing on the breakthrough moment, right? On that end result instead of the years that he was creating along the way. And the idea here is a manifestation that seems in the moment is really a product of lots of hard work and a lot of subconscious thinking and work behind the scenes that you might not realize and that other people definitely don't realize. Any successful person, any celebrity, every person who's quote made it in any field, top of their field, like Einstein, right? None of them were overnight successes. Whenever you hear of their success story, it was years of failure, years of working hard, years of pivoting and trying new things along the way, learning and growing along the way until they hit that moment of success where everyone starts to pay attention. And it seems overnight, but it never is. All this to say, these momentary breakthroughs or seemingly momentary breakthroughs are a product and accumulation of lots of hard work and progress along the way. And quick aside, if there is something that you're wanting to pursue, maybe it feels daunting because it's going to take a long time and feel really difficult. Maybe you don't even know where to start, or maybe you don't even know what that pursuit is. I am working one-on-one with clients in a life coaching practice where I help you get clarity in what you want and who you are, work through these fears and limiting beliefs that might be keeping you stuck in the same cycle, same patterns, same environment, same relationships, and make this a reality in your life. So if any of that resonates with you, check out my website linked below to learn more and book a free clarity call with me to get clear on where you're at versus where you would like to be and take steps to get there. Okay, back to the episode. So these overnight successes, these aha moments are not one-offs, and they did take time and they were not easy to get there. Okay, another reason why we need to slow down, stop rushing, and embrace things taking time is rushing does not help anyone. It's not helping you. It's not helping that outcome that you want. It's not helping the people around you who you're stressing out. Rushing literally chemically brings us into fight or flight and increases our anxiety. It brings us into this energy where we are in this chase mode, not that creative inspiration. So not only is it going to take us out of flow state when we're rushing, but it's going to lead to a weaker result. It's going to lead to an outcome that we're less proud of that probably isn't going to be what we want because we were rushing the process. So it doesn't feel good to rush the process, and the outcome's going to be negatively impacted if we rush the process. It's like when I sit to record a podcast episode and I only have like an hour-long window, let's say, and maybe I rush a little bit. More often than not, I have to go back and re-record because I'm like, that was rushed. I don't like how it turned out. I should have just taken the time that it deserved and required. So it's almost like rushing more often than not is going to end up taking more time because maybe we're going to have to go fix our mistakes, or maybe we're going to have to go redo the whole thing. And it's just going to stress us out in the meantime. So rushing doesn't help anyone. There is no need to rush. And actually, I was listening to a little clip from a Jay Shetty podcast episode, and he was interviewing that neuroscientist who's kind of popped off on social media, and she helps with mindset shifts to rewire the brain. And she shared that she always prefers to be late rather than rush to make it on time because she knows that rushing really negatively impacts your brain chemistry, and it brings you into this fight or flight and increases your anxiety. And it's hard to shift out of that once it spikes. And I found that really interesting. So no need to rush. Next thing, if it were easy, everyone would do it. I want to go back to this marathon example. Like, if anyone could just up and run a marathon tomorrow, everyone would be running the marathon. But it takes time, dedication, and consistency to put in the training, to cross that finish line. It is freaking hard, and that's why it feels so rewarding. If anyone could climb Mount Everest, so many people would. If anyone could have an Olympic gold medal, they would. And the whole point here is the worth and value of all of these accomplishments is because they're difficult to get to. It's really the biggest foundation of that quote, that nothing worth having comes easy, because the things that come easy lose value because so many people could do it. Like, it wasn't easy to be on now episode 145 of the podcast. It has taken a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, frustration, and difficult moments when I'm freaking exhausted and want to quit. But here I am, and it feels so good because it was not easy and it has taken time. And a lot of people ask me, like, how have you done that on top of the 9 to 5? Like, how have you not quit? And it makes me realize that this feels so worthwhile because it has felt so difficult at times. And I see that not as a reason to quit, but why this is so important to stick with and keep going. So whatever goal you have coming to mind, no matter how daunting or difficult it might seem, You have this goal and desire for a reason. And what makes it so valuable and worthwhile is because not everyone's going to be doing that, is because it's going to feel difficult. If everyone was doing it, it wouldn't be as exciting to pursue and take steps towards. It's one of the things that's going to make you unique and make you different and make you feel so proud and accomplished as you take steps and once you get there. Okay, next thing. All of these pursuits, all worthwhile pursuits in life need to take time because it takes time to learn the lessons we need to learn in pursuit of them. When we're going for something difficult and when something's taking a long time, we learn and grow so much along the way. We gain character traits and strengthen character traits within us that we might not have even realized we needed to, but we do. And it's a key ingredient for that end result that a lot of us are going for. Some of the ones coming to mind for me are patience, consistency, trust, resiliency, and just overall strength and knowledge. The harder the pursuit and the longer it takes, the stronger these character traits are going to become within us. The more capable we're becoming as human beings every step we take. But it doesn't happen overnight. And none of these traits really strengthen within us if it's just an easy overnight fix, right? We don't build muscle from going to the gym once. We build muscle from going every day and showing up every day, even when we don't feel like it, over time, over months and years. It's a huge thing that I'm really grateful for with the podcast. I feel like I'm becoming this version of myself that I'm really proud of because it feels so difficult and because things haven't unfolded in the timeline that I initially wanted it to or expected it to. I've realized it's because I was meant to strengthen all of these things within me and become a version of myself along this pursuit. But it's only because it's taken the time that it has and that it has not been easy along the way that I've been able to strengthen these things within me and become this version of myself. Okay, next one. The timing is intentional. Yes, the timeline might be taking longer than you thought. Yes, it might not be meeting your expectations, but I can assure you, however it is unfolding is exactly how it's meant to unfold. And we can stop forcing the timeline that we maybe see happening for another person or that we really want to happen. Again, we can build that muscle of patience to know that it's happening in this timeline for a reason. And this is a huge lesson I learned from Neville Goddard. And I'm going to do a whole nother episode on the biggest lessons from Neville that I've learned because he's been like my guru lately in a lot of ways when it comes to trust and manifestation. And it's something that's really helped me strengthen that muscle of patience and trust. Because the truth is, it's happening in this timeline for a reason that just might not be really clear right now. Maybe it's that you have to strengthen those character traits. Maybe it's that you need to get better at the skill before things happen. Maybe it's not meant to be with this person. Maybe it's another person you're going to meet in the future. Trust that it is taking longer than expected for an important reason. And trust means not needing to have clarity on what that reason is right now, but just knowing that it is. And trust that it feels difficult right now for a reason because it is helping you grow in ways that maybe you need to get to that outcome. Or maybe you were meant to grow and evolve in to open another door for you. Like again, with the podcast journey, I know that the exact timeline that I'm on with this journey is so intentional. And I've started to become really grateful for it rather than feel like I need to force a certain timeline or rush things because I understand how it's unfolding is perfect and beautiful and exactly as it's meant to. Why would I rush it? And this leads me to the next and final point, one that really ties us all together and is so, so important to remember. It's about the process, not the outcome, not the destination. And that is applicable with every single example, every single one of these pursuits, from cooking dinner to taking steps in your business or passion project to all of your relationships, your growth journey, running the marathon, training for the race, anything. The joys in the process. It's what it's all about. If we're not enjoying and leaning into the process and the journey, we're just going to get to that destination and be looking for the next thing. We're going to be reaching for that next pursuit and accomplishment. So knowing that we're always forward looking and always chasing the next thing, we might as well sit back and stop rushing and enjoy this process and this journey. Because again, the longer it takes and the harder it is, the more worthwhile it's going to be when you get there. The more value and pride and accomplishment you're going to feel at that destination. So a key shift is simply to come back to focusing on being present in the process right now, focusing on all the progress you are making instead of maybe how far you have left to go. It's a simple shift from that lack of what's not accomplished yet or where you're not yet to, wow, look at how far I've come. I'm so proud of that person I'm becoming along the way and every step that I'm taking, no matter how long it's taking, no matter how difficult it feels at times. Because again, nothing worth having comes easy, and all good things take time. So hopefully you truly believe that now. Save this episode to come back to these reminders for any pursuit that you're on that's taking longer than expected or feels a little bit difficult. Know that you don't need to rush. Know that you shouldn't rush and that you can trust the timing and the process, that it is unfolding exactly as it's meant to, and you're becoming exactly who you're meant to along this journey. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Fulfilled. Send this to a friend who needs this reminder and save this episode if this really resonated with you. And if you feel called to it, leave a comment and rating on the show, wherever you are listening on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. I'm so grateful that you're all tuning in, and I'll see you all again soon on your journeys to living this life fully.